Happy and healthy altitudes to you. Hello, I'm Gary Gianetti, and I'm coming to you from Healthy Altitudes, Colorado.
Hi, it's Dr. Matt Morano coming to you from Your Peak Mind in, I would say, sunny North Carolina, but right now it's a little bit late at night, so it's dark out. And we want to talk with you a little bit today about the holidays. I think Gary came up with a wonderfully catchy name. What's our topic today, Gary?
Hey, why don't we talk a little bit, Dr. Matt, about some clues? Let's give people some clues to overcome the holiday blues. Some clues to overcome the holiday blues.
I like it.
Do you want to kick it off with a couple good clues, Dr. Matt? You always have the good start.
Oh, thank you, Gary. I
I'm
appreciate it.
passing back.
Sometimes I even have a clue once in a while. So before we get into the clues, I want to sort of frame the topic a little bit today. And there's a lot of people out there that go into the holidays, and instead of it being a joyous, happy time for them, they tend to develop a little bit of the blues. It tends to not be as happy as it could be for whatever the reason that they have. Now let's overlay the pandemic on top of that, and perhaps the holiday blues become even bluer or even darker. And like for me, for example, our families decided not to travel this year because of COVID, and I suspect there's a lot of people out there that they were looking forward all year long, ever since the pandemic started and all the lockdowns and stuff started, to having a much better time during the holidays. And for them, maybe it's not happening, and so they're finding that they're a little bit darker in
Yeah.
their mood. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about what you can do maybe to stave that off a little bit, maybe to turn some of that thing around, maybe find some opportunities that maybe weren't there before. So
Yeah.
one thing I would mention, I know Gary's going to talk about some of this too. One thing I would suggest to you is consider the idea of being aware of those blues sort of encroaching on your life. Are you sleeping a lot more often? Are your habits that you normally would be doing and enjoying not there for you, or are they going the other way, where before you'd be having some holiday cookies and now you're consuming all of them and just on the couch all the time? Or what are you doing to keep yourself optimistic versus feeling a lot more pessimistic because things aren't happening for you the way you want them to be doing? So that's kind of the idea behind the clues idea. And what we want to be able to do is make some suggestions to you to keep yourself more optimistic, find that positivity in an otherwise less than opportunistic or less than optimistic time. So Gary, you want to
Yeah.
start off with a
Yeah.
couple of clues and we'll go back to it?
Yeah, so one of the things that I would suggest, and like you too, Dr. Matt, we usually will travel at the holidays, or people will travel to us, and we're not doing that this year, and it is kind of unique. We definitely miss our family. So what I thought about was one of our talks that we did previously, and how we reframe that. How do I reuse that gift of time where I'm not sitting on an airplane flying to the East Coast, right? What am I going to use with those extra hours? Today, I cleaned the entire studio, right? I used that gift of time to do some cleaning. Um, Other times, I might go for a run, or I might find a new hike for me and the family to go on, or go on a new adventure, try a new restaurant and get takeout. Just the other night, we drove around and looked at Christmas lights. Another time, we rode our bikes around and looked at Christmas lights. So those are some things that we may not have had the time to do if we were rushing to go visit family here, go visit family there, go cook this meal, wrap up all these extra gifts. We are now using this gift of time a little bit differently than maybe we would have previously. And it takes me back to the point of, from a health and fitness standpoint, how do we keep that habit as we go forward? Next year, when we go back to visiting family, how do we come back to what we did this year and those traditions we made this year, or the traditions we had from last year? And how do we tie all that together to still keep a positive experience? I had a blast riding the bikes around looking at lights, going for a run looking at Christmas lights. How do we fit that in next year if we are traveling and rushing around? How do we find those joyful things? One of the things that I would suggest too is take a lot of photos. Take as many photos of the joyful things that you can do right now, even during the pandemic, so that you can keep coming back to looking at some of those photos. Find those extra hikes to fit in your activity, and if you're going to make cookies and you've been given this extra gift of time, make some healthier cookies, instead of just buying them at the supermarket. The other day, someone gave me a hard time because I made cookies from scratch. I made some gingerbread cookies from scratch. They said, you could just buy that dough at the store. And I was like, yeah, I could, but it's a little healthier because I used whole wheat flour and I made them from scratch. The recipe will be on the website, healthyaltitudes.com. We also had, I made a quinoa cookie with chocolate chips in it a little while back because we had this gift of time. So make some different cookies if you're going to share them. But also ask people how comfortable they are eating cookies if you made them during COVID. Some people are a little nervous about that. So those are some things from a health, nutrition, and fitness standpoint. From a happiness standpoint, this is my last point. I'm going to kick it back to you, Dr. Matt. Find things that make you happy. And even if it's little things, you have to enjoy those happy moments. Something that I really have been trying to enjoy is the space travel that's been going on. Lately, the International Space Station is orbiting the Earth, right? Not lately, it's been doing this for a while. You can go on the ISS website and see when it's going to fly over your house. And literally for 5 minutes, it's so cool to look up just for 5 minutes and watch this thing go by at 17,000 miles an hour. When I was traveling last Christmas, it was still flying around, but I didn't even know. So I was able to appreciate that, learn something new, and think about how amazing that is for the future as that's spinning around our Earth. So check that out if that's something fun for you to do as well with your family. My girls are little, and even they were fascinated to see how it flew by. And then we pulled up the pictures on Google, and then they've seen the SpaceX shuttles going up, the Dragon and the Falcon 9 today. They just had a launch. So amazing. So look at some of the new things that are out there, some of the pioneering positive frontiers, and enjoy that gift of time and use it to be active.
I love that,
You
Gary. I
know,
think that's a really great,
yeah,
great suggestion. I can tell you, my boys as well, who are 18 and 16, we would get a real kick out of seeing things that are just interesting like that. For example, we just had a meteor shower, um,
yeah.
which we watched a couple days ago. We all got out into the driveway and just stared at the sky for a while. It was freezing outside, but we really enjoyed watching that. So, but that kind of gets back to the idea of the reframing that you mentioned, and finding joy in the little things. It's going to be
Yeah,
really easy in the darkest of blues, in terms of holiday blues, to overindulge or over imbibe. And those are habits you really don't want, because at the end of the day, they don't actually make you feel better. They just make you feel nothing. And
yeah,
that's kind of not what the whole purpose of the holiday is. The purpose of the holiday is to find that joy and to find a way to share joy with somebody else. So I love when you were talking about making cookies. Gary, I'm totally impressed with you. Cleaning your house, you're a chef. I think it's really great. I think it's really wonderful.
Dadding so hard.
Yep.
Dadding so hard, Dr. Matt. You know how it goes.
I'm not sure about the whole quinoa and chocolate chip thing, but if you're going to make regular cookies, even that's wonderful. But maybe make a giant batch of just everyday, normal, not very good for you type cookies. But instead of eating all of them, maybe give them to somebody down the street, someone that maybe isn't going to be
Hmm.
doing it. Maybe somebody maybe their kids are long gone, and so you find joy in just trying to provide that little extra smile for somebody down the street. And
Yeah.
ring the doorbell, put it in. You can put it in a little wrapper and put it on their front step. And Gary's right; they might be a little bit nervous about it. If they are, that's okay. They don't eat them, so what? You didn't eat them, but you did have the
Right.
joy of actually creating that moment for yourself. The point I'm trying to make is the idea that you find that joy in the little things. And the first step to the whole thing about staving off those blues and finding the clue to trying to counter that is to be aware that you might be going through it. Be aware of it.
Yeah.
Get involved with some Zoom calls. Get involved with something where you're connecting with people that you normally would be connecting with, even though you can't be in the room together. I know we've got some plans with my sisters who live in Ohio to do a heads up game, that thing where you put the little thing over your head, your phone, and everybody has to guess what the word is, or try to make you guess what the word is, that sort of thing. We have games already planned to be on Zoom, just because we want to be together during the holidays, even though we're not going to physically be there. So to wrap this whole thing up, the idea here is you want to find ways to find those little joys. It's going to be easy to be consumed by what we've lost because of the pandemic, but there's still a tremendous amount of joy out there that you can find, even if it's to find a new hike, even if it's to deliver a batch of cookies to somebody that may not otherwise get them. Find those little things that can really help you out. And I'm not suggesting, and I don't think Gary would either, I'm not suggesting that you suddenly figure out you're going to get yourself into shape and tomorrow you're going to run a 26-mile marathon. Not that at all, but maybe get up at the same time you normally would, or maybe dress up for that holiday meal that otherwise you may not have because you think there's nothing to dress up for. Get yourself, find the small reasons to be positive, find those small reasons to bring someone else joy. And the funny thing is it comes back to you 100-fold. So that's my message today. I hope that helps you out a little bit. Maybe some ways to stave off those holiday blues, some clues to find a way to get rid of those holiday blues, and something to think about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think the joy is the big key, and it's a real simple word and it's something that gets used so much during the holidays. But I think it comes back to the concept of not just for the holidays, but for your life. And that's always what we talk about, right? How do you find this joy that you can then use for your life? And like you said, don't try to, set up this New Year's resolution and think that you're going to, lose 40 or 50 pounds through the holidays. In fact, it's actually the opposite. On average, people gain 1 to 2 pounds during the holidays. And, the reality is then they don't lose that over the next year. So then it gains again the following holiday season. And that's when a lot of people gain weight. So if you can just maintain your weight by sharing your cookies, sharing the joy with other people, and enjoying cookies yourself. I definitely ate a couple of the gingerbread cookies. They're amazing. They taste good in coffee. Enjoying those cookies, enjoying that food, do that, but also find the time to be active as well. Or find ways to get away from the table, get out of the house and go for a hike, or find the space station, freeze your butt off on your driveway and look at that meteor shower. It's a really great gift that we've been given, being able to work from home in some ways, right? That's another part of that gift of time. And hopefully we as families or friends or with this technology that everybody has gotten so comfortable with can play games with people we might not be able to do that with as easily. And it makes us very resilient. It makes us better people, and it can bring joy to our lives. And then hopefully you can bring joy to other family members' lives, even if it's only for a couple hours on a Zoom. It's still really neat. So thanks, Dr. Matt. Joy is the key, right? To the key clue to overcome the holiday blues.
That's the key clue. Gary, I see you've already started. I mean, you've got the cookies going, you've got the cleaning going, and you've got that delightfully green shirt that you're wearing already to get us started. So thank you. Thank you for brightening the day. And I wish, I wish everyone out there a wonderful holiday. Be safe and find that joy.
Excellent message. Thanks, Dr. Matt. Happy holidays, and hopefully they're joyful. And keep that joy for your life.